On a normal Tuesday, of course, Simba Elijah Charles Kiage will be right here in studio. But of course, mimi ndio Niko Kadi. Good morning. Thank you so much for choosing Look Up Television. My name is Moses Kitchen. Of course, is an engagement that you do not want to miss, because we want to understand the clear enlightenment of the voter registration. Of course, Niko Kadi that is taking shape across the political space. And of course, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission states that, of course, there is a massive turnout of youth registration ahead of the 2027 general elections, which is so much awaited by many, including the wenyeji right here in the Republic. Are you a voter? Of course, you're preparing yourself to elect a leader that will make a difference right in the Republic. Of course, this is the time, and of course, we are urged to come out in large numbers to register as voters, and of course, to make sure that coming 2027 we'll have the alignment in the government, and of course, we'll have a proper channel for service delivery right here in the Republic. Of course, Kenya's latest voter registration drive by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has revealed a striking pattern. Out of roughly 230,000 new voters registered in the current cycle, a significant majority are adults, about 30, while youth aged 18 to 34 are trailing behind expectations. IEBC officials, speaking in a recent national TV interview, acknowledged the gap, a widening gap, noting that the turnout among young people is lower than anticipated, despite being the largest eligible demographic. Another official added, "We are seeing more older Kenyans responding to the registration exercise compared to the first-time voters. This is a sharp contrast to 2022, where youth made up nearly 40% of registered voters, but still underperformed relative to their population size." Which now ignites the conversation this morning. Do you think there is adults' large turnout and youth's lag? We'll be able to understand that in the next few minutes. But above all, of course, the center stage will be made known by our guest, who will be joining us in the next few minutes to help us understand what is the context behind all this. The question is, do the youths lag in all this engagement? Because we're still speaking about Niko Kadi is a drive that is made by the youth. Why is there a lag? That is a conversation that we'll have in the next few minutes. But let us to just take a look on the newspapers right here this morning. Of course, we'll begin with the Standard. You know, we've been having a development since Monday, about the Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, and the newspaper, the Standard, speaks about you can run, but right, that is a question for another day. Governor Sakaja has gone into hiding after ignoring multiple Senate summonses over Nairobi County finances. Police staked out City Hall yesterday to enforce his arrest, while 25 other governors have also flouted calls to account. With billions in unverified spending and fines brushed aside, senators are adopting audit reports without input from the defiant county chiefs. Will Sakaja's looming arrest force the other recalcitrant governors to toe the line? That's a question, of course, that is asked on the Standard this morning, and of course it's taking the center stage on the front page of the Standard. The Senate has powers to direct Sakaja be brought before it. Accordingly, the senators summoned the governor of Nairobi, but he did not honor the summons. They issued a warrant of arrest through the IG, and we are here to pick him and present him before the Senate. That is Nairobi County Police Boss Issa Mahmoud Oda Issa. And of course, responding to that, the engagement happened yesterday, and since then they've been taking their space at the Nairobi City Hall, in Nairobi CBD, just to ensure that everything works in alignment. But their efforts went futile. I don't know where the governor is hiding, but along the process we'll be able to know and understand why the governor has gone missing despite, of course, calls by the Senate to appear just to have a conversation, just to know how the, funds in the county governments are being used, and of course, what are some of the developments that are happening in that particular office, the governor's office as well. There is a contrast here that is happening within the ongoing progress, arrest of the governor. There's so many insights about the same, that under siege, police seek Sakaja for arrest. What is happening in the Nairobi county government? Why Governor Sakaja is wanted by police? We'll be able also to understand that in the next few minutes. And Sakaja dismisses arrest move as an unwarranted drama. What is going on in the Nairobi county? Some of the things that have been happening in the Senate committee, and of course to just counter check and see what the governments are doing, and just spearhead what is happening in different counties. Budget allocation, service delivery, and other developments are taking shape, and also how funds are being used in these county governments is also a talk of the to take consideration as far as these engagements are concerned. He pushes back on arrest move, says Senate standoff institutional, being unwarranted. And of course, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has pushed back against a move by the Kenya Police Service to deploy officers for his arrest, terming the action unwarranted and unnecessary, and insisting the dispute in question is institutional, not personal. In a statement that he mentioned on Monday, he said the arrest order arising from his failure to appear before a Senate watchdog committee fails to take into account an ongoing standoff between the Council of Governors and the Senate of Kenya. Without further ado, not mentioning quite much, but the biggest talk of the town is you can run but on the standard. Allow us to, just get a glimpse on the Daily Nation. And of course, what we take a look on what is happening as well on the Daily Nation. It says that how regions share 5 million new Gen Z voters. I was still speaking about voter registration, and this is one of the engagements that is happening right here on the Daily Nation, and speaks about tyranny of numbers as the Electoral Commission steps up voter registration. Analysis of official population data shows at least 5 million Gen Zs eligible to register across counties. If the IEBC meets its target, the 2027 registered voters, and of course register, will rise to 28 million voters, up from 22.1 million in 2022. Quite a progress. Remember, of course, these years, next year's general elections is quite much anticipated because there is so much drive for change and a need for change right here in the Republic. So the more the numbers, the more the engagement, and the more the registered voters will amplify a better tomorrow coming in the general elections 2027. You can find that story on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation this morning. It is on the front page, and you can see that as well. Roughly 12 million eligible citizens are not registered voters. Why? Quite a big number. So everyone is out, and of course the registration process is still ongoing. Yesterday, of course, so many people stormed in town, just to register as voters and make the impact known, and quite a big progress right here in the Republic. IEBC clerks register voters at Eldoret National Polytechnic yesterday as countrywide mass voter registration begins. We're hoping for the best, and let us make a drive and an impact in the Republic. 5.83, 5,083,252 total number of targeted new voters, according to analysis of official reports. There are numbers there listed on the Daily Nation. Muranga as well as 94,000, and Mombasa 94,000, Baringo 82,000. Those are below 100,000 voters that are being initiated right here. Nyamira 76,000, Vihiga 70,000, Nyandarua 65,000, Nyeri 61,000, Marsabit 57, Embu 54, and Elgeyo Marakwet 52, as well as Laikipia 52, Kirinyaga 48, Samburu 39, Tana River 38, Tharaka Nithi 38, Taita Taveta 32, as well as Isiolo 31, Lamu 15,000, which is recording low, below 100,000, and above 50,000, including Nairobi. We've seen massive turnout of voter registration, and of course 310,486, and Kakamega 236, 156, Nakuru 221, 164, as well as Bungoma 216, 411, Kiambu 183,793, Kilifi 168,000, and Kisii 159,000, and Meru 156,592. Those are voters turnout above 150,000. Nairobi is making an impact, so the drive should go on in different counties. And the others that are listed, I wouldn't mention them right now, but of course, if you take a look at the Daily Nation, you'll get the clear understanding as well, just to get the emphasis on how that is done. 12 minutes past 8 a.m. You've just gotten a glimpse of what is happening on the dailies, both the Standard and the Daily Nation. And the question, of course, this morning, why is there a lag, youth lag, during the registration process? And of course, are we awaiting for massive turnout as well, when it comes now to electing leaders in the general elections in 2027? The reason behind youth lag are layered. First is disillusionment. Many young Kenyans who are highly active during the Gen Z protest have not translated that energy into formal political participation. That ignites the conversation this morning. Of course, before we get to what is trending this morning, it says there is a growing sentiment that voting does not lead to immediate change. Second, its structural registration centers are often far from where young people live or work, especially in urban or informal settlements. Third is economic pressure. For many youth, daily survival takes priority over civic processes. Unapiga hesabu ya kwenda kupiga kura ama kutafuta chakula, itakuwa namna gani? And finally, there is a trust deficit in institutions, with some questioning whether their vote will genuinely count. As well as this disconnect is also reflected in political engagement platforms. Over the years, we've seen this, confusion, and of course, we've seen these engagements happening. But the youths are asking the same question. Mimi siwezi enda kupiga kura, manake all that time, yes, I vote, but the same leaders gets on track, and of course, they still get to the spaces of leadership. So what is the essence of my vote? Question that, of course, we'll be able to understand in the alignment of the next few minutes. The guest that is joining us this morning is Victor Obunga, a political analyst, and of course will be able to help us understand Niko Kadi, 230,000 new voters. Adults lead, youth lag. Why is that? We'll be able to have that conversation in the next few minutes. Let's take a breather, of course, even as we anticipate for what's trending this morning. It is 14 minutes past 8 a.m. Then we'll invite what's trending. In the meantime, allow me just to give you a glimpse about a member of parliament, above the ecstasies, speaking about, the Nairobi Governor, Johnson Sakaja, and many others that are, coming on stage. There is this one, Member of Parliament Wamumbi to escort Gachagua family to a State House, but police hunt Nairobi Governor Sakaja after failed arrest at City Hall, and many others that I'll be mentioning in the very next few minutes. It says, let's read it. The operation came after Sakaja skipped Senate County Public Accounts Committee hearing on Nairobi's questionable 840 shillings million in undocumented personnel cost from the 2024-2025 audit. Senators fined him 500,000 for contempt and ordered his arrest under constitutional oversight powers. Sakaja called it unwarranted, and of course it is unwarranted drama. Says he's boycotting alongside most of the 29 summoned governors by the Council of Governors, a directive order alleged intimidation. The standoff underscores growing tensions between counties and Senate over fiscal accountability. Back in the months, we've been speaking about fiscal year 2024-2025. But there is a call here to action that some of the funds that are being used in this county government as in a matatizo, and that is why I think the Senate committee, the watchdog committee embraces Nairobi to, just take an, oversight to understand how are these funds used. Remember the 7 members that Sakaja has, as well as also a talking consideration right here. Of course, just to make sure that you are on the loop as well, there's so much ignition about the Nairobi governor. Is therefore misleading to single out one governor in a matter that is collective and consultative in nature. And of course, Sakaja criticized the manner in which police were deployed, questioning both the timing and necessity of the operation. What's it with the timing? He says, there is no justification for creating unnecessary drama or a show of force at night. The statement said, adding that he had been in office throughout the day and remained accessible through official channels. Wow. The governor further revealed that the standoff extends beyond Nairobi, disclosing that 29 governors had been summoned by the same Senate committee on the same day. Only 2 appeared, he said, and he then declined to address substantive matters in line with the council position. That is one of the engagement that is trending this morning, and of course bado shughuli inaendelea ya kuweza kujua ni nini mbaya, ni nini inafanyika kwa county government, and what will be the final output. Many other counties have been involved in this as the watchdog committee tries as much as possible to understand and to oversight how national and funds are being spent and used, just to get the understanding of the fiscal accountability. Away from that, that is also one of the areas. Of course, hapa ndio maafisa wa polisi walishinda, trying to understand governor ako wapi. Remember earlier on we'd mentioned about the standard. You can run, but believe that you can answer as well, even as we continue the conversation. Another one, Member of Parliament Wamombe to escort Gachagua family to State House over inheritance dispute. Madira Member of Parliament Eric Wamombe pledged to take widow Margaret Niko Kadi and 4 children Susan Kirigo, Mercy Wanjira, Justin Kariuki and Ken Gachagua to State House this week. The alleged forgery in Deritu's 2017 will, which named 21 beneficiaries, including former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua as an executor with a 5% share, and the claim irregular asset transfer like the Olive Garden Hotel and the Khalifi House. Ruto urged Rigathi to return the properties during a March 29th speech. You remember that? They also mentioned about Niko Kadi. Well, Rigathi calls it a closed, transparent matter best left to court. Wamombe says the family showed him documents they deem forged, with Ruto's approval for the visit as well. That is also what is taking shape right here. And of course, Eric Wamombe to take family of the late Nderitu Gachagua to State House next week. We'll wait for that and of course give you insight of what will take center stage. Martha Karua engages that and says Ruto treats the presidency as if it is his personal property. The presidency is not your personal seat. It is a job given to you by the people, and you can be removed at any time. You either complete your term or be dismissed under that mandate if you lack accountability. All right. And of course, before we get further, allow us to give you a short video about the Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja and accountability, the Wamombe. All right. Let's play the video. Wamombe, of course, escort Gachagua family to State House over inheritance dispute. That is what is also trending right here. Let's see what they've got to say.
I have not met your family members. I have not met the family of the late Nyeri Governor, Nderitu Gachagua. I had not met them, and I have not met them. And so you lied. But after you mentioned me, I want to now clear and state categorically that the family of your late brother looked for me. I have now talked with them, and they have asked me to take them to State House, and I talked with the President, William Ruto, and he okayed, because they are Kenyans. You know, the family of your late brother are from Madeira. They are my constituents, and I have responsibility of listening to everyone who comes from Madeira, including the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. If there was anything to do with depossession, Vonjari, to his land, I would help, because I'm the MP for Madeira. So the family of the late Derito Gachagua have finally looked for me. I have spoken with them on phone, and I'll be taking them to State House to meet with the President next week. So it's not now in secret. They have looked for me yesterday after the former Deputy President accused me, and I will not take them at night, because he accused me of taking them to State House at night. I will take them next week, I mean this week now that is starting, during the day, and we will take pictures. They have shared with me documents which they are saying that they were forged, and I have looked at them, and I cannot just help it but to pity them. I don't want to disclose the content of the documents, but that family has gone.
All right. That is one of the statements that Mumbai says, and of course it's also taking a space right here, and of course Ruto's involvement in all this, and it's spearheading a lot of conversations as well, during the entire process. Many are saying that hii mambo ni siasa tu peke yake, but we'll get to understand that as well. But what are some of the sentiments that are being mentioned towards that engagement? Ya MP, Member of Parliament wa Mumbai, and President Ruto says that you can insult me all you want, but you must return property belonging to widows, the hotel in Nairobi and the house in Kilifi. You can attack me, I am a man and can defend myself, but widows and orphans cannot. I will defend them. All right, we'll get an understanding on that, how takes center stage, and now that will be, the engagement will roll over, and of course we'll get you up to speed, and to understand just the context about the same as well. Let's take another look. Of course, Maraga's 2027 bid gains traction amid ODM party rift. David Maraga, who annulled the 2017 election as Kenya's top judge from 2016 to 2021, launched his 2027 campaign last October on the United Green Movement ticket, touring counties to push over registration and his anti-corruption platform. The momentum builds as ODM fractures following the March 7th expiration of its partnership with Ruto's United Democratic Alliance, with young leaders, that is youth leaders like Nairobi Senator Eden Sifuna, rallying crowds against any coalition, while elders seek talks. Social media users now link the chaos to Maraga's rise, envisioning him leading with figures like Sifuna, as the party's divisions potentially clear a path for outsiders, promising integrity ahead of 2027. Center stage, Sifuna has been the talk of the town a couple of months, and Sifuna-led faction of ODM was Raila's exit strategy, in quotes, from his partnership with President William Ruto, says Paul Mwangi. I will vote for Maraga. My whole family has promised to vote him in two. I will be at peace whether he wins or not, as long as I made the right choice for my country. That is a sentiment, even as we wait for the 2027 general elections. Who will drive the country to the best place that it deserves as well? Ladies and gentlemen, allow us also to get to another story that is making headlines and trending this morning about the Honorable Aden Duale, dared the former deputy president to release the so-called dossier at 10 o'clock. He didn't. Not at 11, not at noon, not at 1, by mid-afternoon. The story I had already shifted. That tells you everything. So let us deal with the substance. How now that the government selected a consortium of IT companies, Safaricom PLC, Convergence Network Solutions, and Convergence Network Limited to run SHA. That claim is false. What exits a lawful court-affirmed IT infrastructure contract. He goes further to claim that I hold a 17% stake in Convergence Network Limited. I repeat, prove it, but put the documents on the table. Enough of reckless allegations without evidence. Kenyans deserve facts, not fiction. If there is any evidence, let it be presented and subjected to scrutiny by the relevant oversight bodies. Until then, I will be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock waiting for the facts, not stories. A statement that Governor, of course, not Governor Aden Duale mentions in regards to the SHA controversial stories and the IT segment that is also taking shape in his department. There is just an insight that he clarifies. If there is a problem, walete evidence. Tutajua itakuwa namna gani. The last story, of course, it's 27 minutes past 8 a.m. This is the last story that is trending. All right. Before that, let's get to hear what Duale had to say about what he mentions as far as that engagement is concerned. It's quite controversial. Let's get a listen.
At 10 o'clock, to release the dossier that he has that SHA will collapse within 90 days, that SHA owes faith-based facilities 90 billion shillings. I dared him to do that. So I waited for him at 10, at 11, at 12, at 1, somewhere around 2, 3 o'clock in Makweni, he again spoke of a different issue. So let me start with the one he spoke about, that the government has contracted a consortium of companies, 3 companies, Safaricom, Apiero, and Convergence Networks Limited. So he picked on Convergence Networks Limited and said that Aden Duale owns 17% of the shares on Convergence. I dare again, Rigiji. And Rigiji should not just give wild allegations. He must provide the people of Kenya with the facts, figures, accountability, and he must be subjected to transparency. So I just dare him again. Again, tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I want him to walk to the Business Registration Center and provide with the people of Kenya the CR Tolof, where the Minister for Health, Aden Duale, owns 17% of the Convergence Network.
Right, that is what Aden Duale had to say in response to Rigijis as well. And of course, netizens are saying that if it is not Rigiji, some of the things we wouldn't have known. Otherwise, Esther Musila's son Gideon took her to court over their late father's estate and things got messy. She was the administrator, but Gideon is calling for transparency, saying that this father's property isn't a one-person show. In response, Esther did not just oppose his son's request in court, she attacked his character. She painted him as drug addict and fit incapable and undeserving of both voice and inheritance. The court also discovered and disclosed assets and hidden shares. What was meant to role of trust had been turned into a tool of control. The court found that this new chapter is Esther's life further weakened her position as the sole administrator of an estate. The estate was ordered to be shared equally among the late businessman Eric Naibei's children, Gideon Gilda and Glenn, now guardian angel, who had taken control over the property. Kama Mzee Waboma is about to see birds of Ngede. All right, those are some of the chapters that are trending this morning. Of course, we're privileged, and of course, we'll take you up to speed across our social media platforms to get you on the loop of what is happening right here in the Republic. Meanwhile, get on board on our conversation about the Gen Z voter registration turnout. Adults lead, youth lag. We'll get you up to speed. Victor is right here, and of course, we'll get the engagement done, and it will be a good deal. Don't go too far. You're watching The Morning Drift, even as we get the conversations ahead. tu taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up. Kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasi wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, "Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more."
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, "Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more."
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Good morning once more. Thank you so much for choosing Look Up Television. We're still ongoing with a conversation on Niko Kadi, 230,000 new voters, adults lead, youth lag. Earlier on, we mentioned quite a number of things and details about the Niko Kadi initiative, of course, being spearheaded by young people. But there is a problem here. I don't know if it's a problem or, not to take into consideration with the Kenya's largest voter registration drive by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has revealed a striking pattern. Out of a roughly 230,000 new voters registered in the current cycle, a significant majority are adults above 30. So it means there is a striking consideration in between the age of 18 years and the age of 29. So where are these voters that are supposed to get their engagement? So it is a while youth aged 18 to 34 are trailing behind expectations. IBC officials, speaking in a recent national TV, acknowledged the gap, noting that the turnout among young people lower than anticipated, despite being the largest eligible demographic. A conversation that you do not want to miss. Share with us your opinions across our social media platforms. Why do you think there is that kind of striking note? And of course, you'll be able to read your comments aloud across our YouTube channel, Lookup TV, as well as Facebook, Lookup Television, and across our website, www.lookuptv.co.ke. Our number, WhatsApp number is rolling 0745 762 640. Na itakuwa vizuri sana. Allow us to begin our conversation. Kiongozi, thank you so much for making time. Good morning. Please introduce yourself. And of course, Niko Kadi.
Yeah, of course, Niko Kadi. Well, thank you so much, Senior. I'm Victor Obunga, a student from JKUAT, the Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, that is. I've been holding multiple leadership positions, and right now I'm an aspirant, actually.
Amazing.
Yeah, for the Secretary General position.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Since of course you're a political analyst, and of course you're aspiring for a seat, and you're seeing notable effect of young people, not coming out in large numbers. Despite the initiative being founded by young people, there is still a problem. How does that make you feel as a political analyst, trying to understand where are these young people within the age of 18 to the age of 29? Wako wapi?
Well, these people, Senior, if you look at the statistics over the years, the turnout of the young people have constantly been low. Take 2022, for example. There were around over 8 million eligible young people to vote. But a number that was recorded was way low, 2.3 million. And you find that out of these 2.3 million, not all of them turned out, actually. And you find that what young people need is motivation. And right now, actually, the turnout will be way more lower, as even compared to the past historical records, because of various reasons. Number one, because of absence of certain political kings who could hold massive and extremely influential rallies to influence these people to vote, actually, to come out and turn out in large numbers. Number two, the young people lack motivation. Even if certain influential political leaders are running around and influencing them to turn out in large numbers, you find that these people are not in exact age bracket. So there is not that influence from their own peers, of their own exact age group. So they lack motivation to do this. And most of those who are going around, actually, are mostly being driven by their own political ambitions, not necessarily directly influencing young people to come out and vote.
You think so?
I think so, yeah, that's a fact. Additionally, the young people also do not believe that this act of voting will really bring change. Yeah, they just know that even if we vote or we don't vote, change will not come anyway. So that makes them only active online, but offline, you will not find them in line voting. You just find the adults, the 30 years plus, as have always been seen. So these people lack motivation. They don't believe that that voting will bring any change anyway because of our past historical records, even as a country. So the low turnout of the youth is not a surprise. And there is, I don't see any hope of them turning out in large numbers, even in the near future.
All of a sudden?
All of a sudden, unfortunately. It will never rise. And even if it does, it will only come as a result of having one vibrant young person, very fearless, who will influence these people. Because even the Niko Kadi initiative, it began as a joke. It began as a joke because Niko Kadi is actually a card game, maybe you find that. But now they have translated into Niko Kadi of actually taking an initiative of voting. But sooner or later, it will be dead, that initiative. And the low turnout will continue to be constantly low, actually. I don't see it rising.
I was speaking to Sir Ben Gigi, a Nairobi gubernatorial aspirant, and mentions about Niko Kadi has just begun. This is an initiative that will never die. it is a process that will ignite a better change. As you speak, Victor, you mentioned that there is no hope for tomorrow, that there is no feeling of, adjustments, that this thing will die sooner or later. Why do you think the initiators of this Niko Kadi do believe that there is still hope for tomorrow, that above all, the young people are still learning about embracing, these processes. And of course, later in the day and later in the months, even as we near the general elections, they will come up to speed and say that indeed now it is our time to rise.
Well, I'll give you a realistic example that has happened before. If you look at various by-elections that were held recently, if you look at the statistics, the age bracket of those who turned out, actually, the Gen Z population was extremely low. In fact, it was a surprise because we said that we want change to Niko Kadi, all of us. But if you look at the recent polls, the by-elections, it is only the normal population that is turning out. And we find that these young people, the reason I'm saying that it will not maybe rise as expected, there is nobody in our exact age bracket that will come up with an extreme motivation to do this. So unless we come up with an extreme motivation, of which I don't see anybody who will come with that, it will not rise that much as expected and won't bring the change that is anticipated. Yeah.
So Victor, you're saying that Niko Kadi can't work for the young people?
Well, it won't as expected. They will not turn.
So it is working, but not expected, as expected.
It will not meet the expectation. The expectation is that the young people are the majority, and we really expect them to turn out in 2027 in large numbers. And unfortunately,
to cast their vote.
To cast their votes. And unfortunately, that won't happen. Yeah, unfortunately, it won't. And even if it does, it will be way beyond, way lower than the expected turnout. If right now in 2022 we had over 8 million, right now that number has risen statistically, yeah? And you will find out that even in 2027, a number that will be recorded as eligible voters will be below 2 million voters. So it will just come as an initiative, then later, sooner or later, it will not meet the expectation that is there actually. So I don't see it meeting the expectation that we want.
All right. Yeah. We're just in 3 months since the year 2026. It is 7 months to go. And then we embrace now the electioneering period, and the process now begins tuone sasa ni nani atakuwa kiongozi. At this point in time, in these 7 months, even as we anticipate for change, the biggest thing that even in the Gen Z protest 2024 about the anti-finance bill protest, there were so many questions about, hey, manze gava inafaa kuchange, and there are so many things that they wanted, to change and make sure that if there is a leader that is not working, anafaa kwenda nyumbani. In these 7 months, so do you think that the government still knows that hii ni kama jinsi walivyopiga kelele kwenye Gen Z protest, this is just noise, and wait for us in 2027, we'll take the lead. You'll not come as voters, sisi ndio tuko, mtukubali. Do you think that is what will happen? And of course the government knows that in these 7 months, how ndo wako?
If you look at the current political trend, these people are barely tensed because they know that they are not going anywhere near home. They're not going home. Yes.
All right?
Yeah. They are not going home. And the thing is, even if there were a lot of noises, for example, the 2024 finance bill, the protest in the streets, the online wars, every other thing, they know that politicians are politicians. They will come, and there is power in communication. You see, there is power in communication. You can wrong me today very grossly, but when I come later and convince you in a different way, you'll just vote for me. So you'll find out that they will come with the way of brushing off the past history, and you find that they are finding mercy, maybe in the eyes of various voters, and they still continue the office. And now when they take it for the second term, now their real colors begin to show up. So I don't think that there is that strong initiative, strong, well calculated enough to take them home, because due to different reasons, of course, due to absence of various political kings. And right now you can see that some people also saying that there are no worthy opponents in various seats. So I think they'll just continue with the seats. in as much as many people will vote against them, especially from particular regions, but you find that it will be a shift. This time, this region is on the opposite side. The other time, now they shift. The other one is coming over here, and the other one is going over there. So you find that there is no much of a change. Even if there is a difference, there will be just a slight difference. But the point remains, they might still take the lead. And the probability of them taking the lead are so high, unfortunately, or fortunately. Fortunately or unfortunately, the probability of them taking the lead is so high, if you look at the statistics. And it's just a matter of time. It will be proven with the 2027 electoral polls.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I won't argue so much because you're an analyst, so you've already seen the future.
Yeah.
And you know, just understanding on how this comes to life. I'm seeing so many other politicians as well are joining in the movement, and also artists are coming in to, you know, sensitize people about Niko Kadi, program that will, you know, make an oversight to make sure that everything works in the better way possible. You mentioned about, yes, this process sounds quite good, but there are no best people to amplify it in the best way possible, to make sure that it's a drive, it's a movement, it sparks control. Do you think that the leaders, the current leaders, do understand that this is just a wave? And do you think that the youth-led process, these youths that are taking the center stage of Niko Kadi, do not understand what they are up to, what they are facing up front?
Well, for anything to happen adequately and bring the desired change, they need people they need men of their words. Men, if they say we are going right, then it is right we are facing. So the reason why I said that it will unfortunately not yield the expected result is that even if a person of our exact age bracket come up today and say that this is the direction we are taking, the government will know that this is just a barking dog. They just throw them a bone. And then they are desperate and poor, they'll grab that bone and support us after all. You'll see a lot of young people will come up, branding themselves as heroes, wanting to fight for what is right. But again, the government will throw a bone at them and they will bite that bone. A good bone. Very fat bone. Full of a lot of flesh. You see. They will bite and go their direction. So you find that we will be betrayed at the end of it all. And of course, when these vibrant young people come up, they'll be influential. And when they shift and go to the side of the government, they will go with others. And the others who will remain here will have nobody to be as a light bearer. And therefore, you find that it is again a great contributor to that low turnout. So people will come up, yes, but the government will just know that these are poor, desperate dogs. Let us give them bones. They'll join us after all. They are poor. It's desperation that is disturbing them. So if we find somebody, a man of their words, who can really stand up for what is right, regardless, then I think we might be having great expectations in the near future. However, additionally, if you look at the current leaders who are driving the initiative, well, in Kenya or in Africa generally, we are inherently tribal, my brother. Inherently. It is something that is inborn. It is something that is in our blood. Even if today somebody do a lot of wrongs, however much he does a lot of wrong, you'll find that people of his own origin will not abandon him. They will still vote for him because they say, this is one of our own.
And then?
We will not disown him. He is wrong, yes, but he comes from here. So you'll find that we will still go back to our tribal cocoons, our tribal corners, and vote based on that.
All right.
Yeah.
People like Edwin Sifuna, as well as Babu Wino, you've seen Rigiji, making statements about Niko Kadi as well. What do you think about those statements? Are they not good enough for the same strategical positions to ignite change in Niko Kadi?
They might be influential. Look at the major propellant here. What is propelling them? If we look at some of them are being propelled to actually make that narrative known countrywide because of their various personal political ambitions. Some of them are in the quest of vengeance, political vengeance, which has which is normal anyway in the political field. We are friends today, we are enemies tomorrow.
Indeed.
And now I work against you massively and aggressively. And I will use any initiative to get you out, but based on my personal bitterness.
Indeed.
I will want a lot of people to inherit my enemies. So in as much as they are driving that initiative, it is majorly driven by personal. They took that so personal. This person wronged me. I will get you out using every initiative, and they will take advantage of the widely known phrase of Niko Kadi and use it so that the people will see that indeed this person is genuine. But after they get the offices, they go what we call reversed Pauline conversion. Now they become souls, from Paul to souls. You'll just see, it is not genuine. Honestly, it is not genuine. They're just using that initiative to drive their personal political ambitions. And therefore, in as much as they're fighting for us, I cannot say that that is the major agenda. That is not the major agenda. These people have their various political ambitions to achieve at the end of it all.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. You've also heard the president mentioning about Niko Kadi, which of course didn't go as he had expected. But of course, because the president also has these brains in political science and knows if he amplifies his thoughts about Niko Kadi and says, you know, let's wait for the general elections 2027. Do you think he's strategically telling these young people that cheki, najua Niko Kadi, lakini this office is already taken?
That is the greatest psychological trick that is using.
It's strategical, right?
It is very strategical. You see, something is showing you a problem, and the person who has been a pain in the neck is now proving that he'll now be the savior of these people. So he is coming and telling you what you exactly want to hear.
Indeed.
Yeah, he has a knowledge in political science, the president, and he knows what to say, when and how to say it.
Indeed.
And you will see that in various regions that you don't expect him to win, he will win massively.
Indeed. He knew what Niko Kadi means.
Yeah, he knows what Niko Kadi means. And just as you said earlier, some of the young people are taking it as a synonym of one term. Yeah, so, yeah. Some of the young people are taking it as a synonym of one term. But some of them again are taking it as initiative of let's just be responsible citizens.
Indeed.
And let us demonstrate our act of
Indeed.
patriotism. But the president is coming and telling you that Niko Kadi, let's turn out and vote for me again. That is what he's saying. He's attacking while defending. Okay?
Amazing.
He doesn't want to show the opponents that is against them that much when it comes to Niko Kadi.
We're neutral. You're on neutral ground.
Because he needs those cards
Indeed.
at the end of it all. He needs those cards at the end of it all. So he will come and, in as much as it might be a divisive narrative as compared to, as have been seen,
Indeed.
being driven by various opponents, he is now not coming and telling you as it is right now, but he's coming to it, arriving to it as a political move. I tell you that Niko Kadi, Niko Kadi, yes, tuko Kadi, kujeni tufanye kazi pamoja.
Kujeni mnipigie kura.
Exactly. And when he says that kujeni tufanye kazi, in fact, he'll come to your region and speak in your language. And my friend, you will love him. All of a sudden.
Indeed.
All of a sudden, you love him.
Amazing.
All of a sudden. So you find that the Niko Kadi initiative, even if it is being driven by the president himself, you find that he still wins. He still wins at the end of it all.
So what is your thought on the same?
Yeah.
Do you think Niko Kadi is, it's just another term ya kusema one term?
Well, to others, partially it's a synonym, and to others, a very few individuals are seeing it as an act of patriotism. Let us just come and demonstrate our patriotic acts. Let us come and exercise our democratic...
To you, what does it mean?
Well, to me, it means a lot of things.
One of them is one term?
Well, I cannot really explicitly maybe say one term, but I've voted before, and I've known what actually this means. And I'll agree with every party here differently. I'll agree with those parties that are saying that it is an act of patriotism. And I can also partially agree with those people saying that it is a synonym like one term. Yeah. So, but mostly, I will agree with those who are taking as an initiative of one term.
Indeed.
Because most of the people who have been talking to, you know, myself, I'm a politician in the institution. And according to a lot of people I've been talking to, a lot of them are taking it as a synonym of one term. But some of the people who are not much into politics are taking it as a act of being patriotic, demonstrating your democratic rights.
Amazing.
But a good percentage, a larger percentage, is taking it as a one-term initiative.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll get to know that as well. This is a sharp contrast to 2022, where youth made up nearly 40% of registered voters, but still underperformed relative to their population size. Now, there's the reasons that we mentioned earlier about this youth lag, and there is a need for a conversation. Earlier on, we've really proven that there is a problem, and the government and the people in charge do know that this is just a wave that will come and go. So the people in leadership do know that the youths will just make noise at this point in time, then they'll leave. Because they've witnessed it before. They've witnessed it in the previous elections. So there is no specialty about 2027, which they know that as well. But before we take a break, I'd like you to help us understand. So because the government knows this, do you think now it is a wake-up call to many others that have not stand up to register as voters and to make a specific move towards driving change into the country? Why is this happening this time?
Well, in politics, one thing I can tell you, Senior, is that those who have been there for long, they barely tense. Even if you try to narrate a good initiative, or for example, Niko Kadi, chukueni kura, be responsible, you'll find that somebody who has been in the political field for quite long will know that they will read the trend and see that this thing, there's something that is bound to die. Because I know that, because they know that those people in government are extremely influential. They will come and tell you what you want to hear, and you'll forget the initiative. And you'll find that those who will be now left, those who have been in the political field for long and are now left to drive the initiative, are not influential enough, or they don't have what it takes to drive that initiative to a point of being extremely influential. Yeah. So you see that at some point it will be just, it will not that much affect change. Yeah. Those who have been in government knows that this is just something that will come up as a wave, but it will die eventually. It will not that result into that much change. Let me tell you, if it would have been that being responsible among young people works, it would have worked in 2007. Yeah, it would have worked in 2007. It would have worked in 2017. Yeah? It would have worked in 2022. So having read all these statistics,
they know that.
They know that. That in as much as these people are driving this, bado.
Indeed.
It will not bring that much change. Yeah. They will see 2007, it was worse, but again, it did not lead into anything serious. 2017 was, So 2027 will really lead to anything? Nah, this is an initiative. This is just a hungry dogs making noise. And it's a high time we'll take some of them and give them bones, and then eventually they'll shut up, and the initiative will be dead before they know it. And now we'll go back to our adults of 30 years plus who have been constantly voting for us. Yeah.
Victor, quite mentioned much.
Yeah.
And of course, you've just proven some change, and of course you're hoping for the betterment even as far as the initiative is still ongoing. But as we get back to the second session, we'll be able to understand what's the reason behind this youth lag. Don't they understand about the voters registration? Don't they understand about voting coming 2027? And what is the challenge here? Should we create sensitization and some just education about democratic rights, as well as taking charge in voting? What should be done? The reasons behind that will come in a few. But above all, stay tuned. This is The Morning Drift, the big conversation.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he's going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Pindi tu taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. The reasons behind this youth lag are layered. First is disillusionment. Many young Kenyans who are highly active during the Gen Z protest have not translated that energy into formal political participation. There's a growing sentiment that voting does not lead to immediate change. We spoke about that. And many young people feel like no matter how we vote, how we do this process, there's still no change. What is your feeling about the same manner in kind? Do we still participate in the registration? What can be done?
Young people, whenever they say that, they're actually right. They're actually right to a certain extent, because the act of disillusionment, they know that we'll turn up, yes, in large numbers, and we'll vote. But after all, they'll just do what they normally do. It won't bring much change. We'll vote yes, maybe we can turn up. And actually what is discouraging the young people a great deal is the constant lack of change. Everybody is promising heavens when they're in the rally. But oh, let them now get the office. They become totally different people. And the young people have mastered this. There are people who read the statistics, and then there are people who also read instincts and the real intent of our politicians. And that is why those who are actually normally turning out in large numbers to vote, most of them are always less informed as compared to the Gen Zs. Now, the Gen Zs are people who are well informed. Those people who normally vote, a lot of them are millennials and even the other generations who are less informed about the digital world. So you'll find that in as much as the young people are not turning out, they're right after all. We'll vote, tutakuwa kadi, Lakini after all, no much change will happen because this is what have been seen over time. So even if they turn up today and vote in large numbers, there won't be much change. So after all, they are partially right. Yeah. So,
All right. Political disillusionment has been there for quite a long time. And every time we've been speaking about this, unasema, hey, nimemuona sana. I've been seeing this leader for the longest time, since time immemorial. And of course, the engagement still narrows down to 2027. There is no hope for change. That these people will still be there and they'll rule. Second is structural. Registration centers are often far from where young people live or work, especially in urban or informal settlements. What will be your opinion on the same? Because we've seen, I think young people are very lazy, or they feel like, niende huko kwote, just do, there's still time, So the more we procrastinate, the more time in a fly to, then at the end of the tunnel, we realize, I did not register, So when I feel, I don't know how it will work, but siku tatu next time. Hata nikivote sahi, there is no much effect, as you mentioned, but there is still a need. So this point here, bringing, and that is why I love about Niko Kadi, because it's tried as much as possible to bring these centers to your doorstep. Ndio hata ukisema you didn't get a chance, it's just a few meters to your place. What is your opinion about procrastination? This thing I'll do it later.
Well, procrastination is the worst disease somebody could ever have.
Indeed?
It's the worst disease somebody could ever be infected with because it is not curable, actually. It has no cure. The only cure to procrastination is actually doing the actual thing. And if at all, let me give you a fresh perspective. If indeed we are like headed to Singapore, the way we had been promised before, then I think we should also adopt certain electoral processes that Singapore adopts. For example, instead of putting maybe physical institutions of registering voters, is it not something that can be done online and you're done with it? Yeah, because they do it digitally. Some people do. In the US, for example, some of them vote physically, some of them vote online by mail and every other thing. And voting begins a little bit earlier so that they maximize, you see. So if I think the young people right now, maybe the reason why they are procrastinating, young people right now, whatever led to their protest last time, apart from the finance bill and the killings, was the lack of jobs. You find that somebody, even to get that 100 shillings to make it to the polling station is a problem. Yeah. So they procrastinate, they say that money will come, an extra money that has no use, a time which will never come actually, because there is no money that is of no use. Every shilling has a use. So you find that after all, I get 300 shillings a day, for example, why would I take 100 shillings to go and do something that will not benefit me directly after all? Let me just leave it alone. But if Kenya would adopt certain methods or certain strategies of ensuring that this is something that one can just do online entirely, then I think there will be a high turnout of young people. Because if we are influenced or we are being encouraged to Niko Kadi, and it is something that you can do online and finish it without going anywhere physically, then we register a very high number of registered voters. And that is now something that would bring change. And that is something the government will never allow. Because they know that we are dealing with a lazy population. Let us just allow others to drive the initiative of Niko Kadi, but what we know is that they will never make it to the polling station. And even if they do, it will be a insignificant number that after all, some of them will give us, then after all will be undecided, then some of them will be spoiled. So we will not give them the environment of maximizing their democratic rights. We will minimize as much their democratic rights by not digitizing things. So that is one thing that is really discouraging the young people to go to vote. Because if I can do something, I can register entirely on my phone in my house, then, well, I would really register and become a voter. But if I have to go somewhere, use my own fare and go to do something that will not benefit me directly anyway, it's not worth it.
Indeed.
It's not worth it. So I think young people, one, they have been denied an enabling environment to do this.
All right. Quite understandable, because we've seen this happening, and with the economic pressure and so many things that are killing their minds. You piga hesabu uende upange line yoyote. You've probably taken a longer day of your time of your day, and you do not know what else can be done. And therefore, your time when you may spend, you'll have rather do some few businesses and then get some income. I think the economic pressure is also a point of consideration, with the fact that for many youths, daily survival takes priority over civic processes. Why? Will standing there get me some income later in the day? What is the benefit at the end of the tunnel? So do you think also with this economic pressure coming as a talking point, there is also a need for, the youths feel like, I think I'm too busy for life. And I feel like, hii process ni ya maana. Yes, najua ni ya maana sana, but I have so many things to handle. I have my family waiting for me. I have people that depend on me. So all this time, inaweza changanya hii hali yangu ya maisha na inaweza niramba. Sindio? What is your feeling about economic pressure that is upon the youth that feel like they're too busy to express the democratic processes?
Economic pressure is the major contributor here, because a significant percentage will give you a similar excuse that hey, nitoke tu hapa niende huko ku register kama voter, Niko Kadi, all that distant, because one of the reasons was that these polling stations or registering institutions are far from the places of residences. They say that I use 300 shillings, maybe to and fro. And these 300 shillings, I could use it to pay my tokens, which is heavily taxed nowadays. They'll do the important thing. They'll pay the token and leave alone the voting process. Because they say that the economic pressure, if it would have been that our economic state as a country is stable right now, such that the young people are really getting the jobs they desire, their efforts are adequately rewarded, then I think they would have been really stepping up to vote in again the responsible government. But the government itself has shown the sense of irresponsibility. So these young people will say that we are on our own. We do not support those who do not support us. We only support those who support us. A significant majority, a good percentage, are actually using that excuse. So the major contributor here is not even the political and the leadership history of the country. It is the economic pressure. The money I could have used as a fare, as a bus fare, as a transport fee to get there, I can use it to kukula lunch. I can use it to pay my tokens, because they are heavily taxed nowadays. Even if I pay 100 shillings today, it's just a matter of days, 2 days at most, and this token will now be down again. So instead of doing something that's not helping me, let me do something that benefits me directly. Because they know what they normally say, even for us aspirants who are there, they do say that you just come and tell us this while here, but again, if you get into that office, you'll be somebody different. You won't benefit me after all. So let me do something for myself now. So the economic pressure is the major contributor. Because even some agencies will tell you that, hey, acha tu Niko Kadi, na uchumi, acha tu Niko Kadi. So some of them, it's only as an insignificant percentage understanding this. But a majority, they say
just
that
a lovely name.
It's just a lovely name. Change after all. Acha tu nilipe tokens, nikule lunch, I stay indoors.
Let my friends know that I am using that term. When I post something, I use Niko Kadi article.
Exactly. Let me just say it to influence others, but me, after all, I know what will happen.
Yeah. I think that is the biggest problem we are expressing. Remember, the data from the Mimi Nisifuna digital platforms, they, was seeking after to make sure that also we have so many people saying that indeed Sifuna was right and has been right, correcting the government. This is what is needed. And there is also a point of consideration when we come to Niko Kadi as well. We've seen quite a bigger percentage of digital mobilization, but there is a need for physical conversion. We realize that so many people are speaking about Niko Kadi on the social spaces. But when it comes now to kwa ground, there is a problem. What will be your opinion on the same? Because there's quite a disconnect, which is also reflected in so many other platforms, so digital platforms, and that is why the president is uploaded, because the president has both digital mobilization and of course physical conversion. President akitokea tu mahali na akuje tu anataka kutoa hotuba, there is quite a big number of people want to listen to what the president will say. They'll also go back to the online, listen to what he had mentioned. And I think that is a bigger advantage that the president has more than this other, local mobilization, which you've mentioned earlier, that is in here. Vitutu zinapita. Let's talk about affordable housing. When the president initiated this, up to this point in time, we are still speaking about affordable housing. Hatujasema ati, hizi nyumba zitaenda we've not said about that. And of course the drive ya kupeana pesa ilikuwa inaitwa hii drive ya president ya kupeana pesa inaitwaje? Nyota. We're still speaking about that. So I think the president has also understood the element strategic, mobilization to make sure bado wana stand out in digital platforms and bado wana stand out kwa ground. That is why earlier on he'd mentioned about Niko Kadi, not necessarily ashajua hii ni story gani, but now that is the problem. And we, before the end of this conversation, I think we'll be able to answer that. Now listen to this. Of course, Identity Sifuna shows high online engagement, but weaker physical conversion. The platforms has drawn tens of thousands of youth interactions, particularly in Nairobi and Western Kenya. Yet, this is not translated into proportional voter registration numbers. It highlights a critical gap. Youth are proportionally aware, number one, vocally and digitally active. Then, they're not fully integrated into formal electoral systems. Political leaders have begun responding to this gap. So they've identified there is a gap here. Then, each framing it into the advantage. Rigathi Gachagua, while aligning himself with Niko Kadi movement, told youth in a recent rally, the future of this country belongs to you, but you must register as vote to claim it. In another address, he emphasized urgency, saying, if you do not show up in the register, you will not show up in the leadership of this country. His message ties youth participation directly to political power. So this gap, we've already identified it. So Victor, as a political analyst, how will we be able to cover this gap?
Well, to cover it is not easy. Because if you look at those who are driving the narrative of Niko Kadi,
indeed,
some of them are those who have been in government before. Some of them are government rejects. Okay, honestly, some of them are government rejects. So it is a personal, they take it personal. Yeah, it's a personal vengeance, and now they are covering it with Tukue Kadi. You see, and in order to cover this, if they really want the young people, what young people love is handout. You see, if as single politicians today come out and say that young people, we want to give you bus fare transport, we will be dispatching buses in various places to come and take you to various registration stations, then you'll see a good number turning out. But without any incentive, what will they gain in the short run? There's really nothing that they will get after all. It's a gap that will never be bridged after all. But if you want to fill this gap, then give the young people an incentive. You will see them really turning out. The only way of filling that gap is not by running around with a lot of cars, with a lot of loudspeakers saying that Tukue Kadi. No, that's just one way of doing it. There are many ways of killing a rat. You can sit on it and it dies. You can throw it into a river and it submerges. So another way of maybe telling the young people to come out, and that is a way, one of the ways that will be used by those who are in government right now is to give them incentives. They then say that now we'll be coming for you from your places of residences or dispatching this and this initiative, come and vote, then you'll get something after all. But without anything they get in the short run,
All right.
It is a gap that will barely be bridged.
And so we've gotten an understanding of why the Kenyan youth are highly active politically but lagging in voter registration. They want just to feel the presence, but hawataki to take that action. And I think that is what is needed, right? So in the same context, even as we near the end, Is distrust in institutions the bigger barrier to youth participation in elections?
Okay, it is one of the major contributors. It is again a different bigger. You say we do say that we have now the big five. We have the biggest. The biggest is the economic pressure. The bigger one now is the distrust in these electoral bodies, because they know that yes, we'll turn out, but after all, they will do what they just normally do. No much change. They will just sing the narrative, sing the song every time, but again, there will be no much change. Even if you solve one thing today of economic pressure, which you actually will get a lot of people to take responsibility, but now, will you be able to assure them that the electoral process will be free and fair? But even if they will say it will be free and fair, they know at the back of their minds it won't be. So young people are really difficult to trick. If you want them to vote for you, then give them what will be helping them in the short run and also in the long run.
And then?
After you are out of office, what have you left behind? And you want us to elect you, what do you have to offer right now? Can you really assure us that there will be an economic relief to us, to our parents, to us survivors, the hustlers? Do you assure us of anything? And if you do, can you do one thing now to show that indeed this is something that you are geared towards? So without those being put in place, the turnout will continuously and constantly be below the expectation.
And a question is asked as well. Are political leaders doing enough to convert youth energy into voter numbers? Are they?
Enough. Most of these driven narratives of Niko Kadi or any other initiative, the young people know. That's why I said that the young people's turnout will always be low, because they know what is behind this person. They look beyond the sweet words that you are offering. And there are people who are difficult to take. So they know that this is just a narrative you are driving, but you have a different motive.
Right. Does digital activism replace or weaken traditional civic engagement like voting?
It does not. It does not weaken. It just makes it active on the non-helpful side. Because if we are active online, we won't be voting online. Let us take responsibility physically. So it is not something that will really influence the people to come out in large numbers. Because if it would have been that they really want Wakue Kadi, then they can base it on past occurrences. For example, the finance bill. They could have used that as a trigger, as a major propellant. But now we have that in place and other things in history, but again, they are not taking initiative. So I don't think there is any more influence that maybe these politicians might come up with that will change their mind. Wakue Kadi.
Wow. Another question is asked as well. Will the youth registration gap affect the outcome of the 2027 election, which is much anticipated?
The way it has never does. Yeah, it has never affected any electoral process in the past history, and 2027 is no exception. It will not affect.
That means it will be an advantage.
To them, of course, to those who are in the government right now, it will be an advantage, because actually, if you look at the registration, which kind of age bracket is leading? The 30-year plus are the ones who are leading. And that is what has been happening over and over again. So it is just a repetition of something. It is a repetition of an advantage. So 2027 is not an exception, actually, because this is something that has never influenced any electoral outcome, even as far as history is concerned. Yeah.
All right. With all this development, we've mentioned that we've got to know about entirely there is a need for consideration. And there is, I think, civic education that must be done to enlighten these young people. Perhaps from the age of 18, going onwards, they feel like it's not any responsibility ya wazee. Nyinyi ndio mnajua hii government. Nyinyi mpige kura. And there is a problem. But from where you sit, as a politician, as a political analyst, and from what you've observed, I want you to give us now your winding up thoughts. Your final thoughts in regards to everything that we've mentioned. Yes, there is a gap, there is a problem, there is a need for us to push an agenda, and of course we need to have a very great governance, and 2027 is our year. And everything, kama kulikuwa na story ya economy, manzeni ngori, we need a transformation. We need good leaders. We need things to work. and hakuna mse atakuwa analalamika there's a problem, si ndio? I'll give you now this chance. Of course, just talk to your people, tell them your final thoughts in making sure that we have a clean government.
Well, to the diverse audience, actually, what I would like to tell them that right now it is a divided responsibility. The young people are have a responsibility, and also the government has a responsibility. And if we begin with the government responsibility now, if you look at these young people, most of them, majority, are university students. One thing that is really pissing off the university students is the new funding model that is constantly burdening them. If you really uplift that, if you uplift that burden, then I think there might be a change. Another thing is that you find that the young people, they barely survive. Some of them barely survive in various universities, in various learning institutions. They barely survive. So if you can give them, help at times comes, but it comes after 3 months, you see? If we begin with that, for example, the government responsibility. Help, if some of us find 20,000 after 3 months, they have to pay it. They foot their responsibilities from A to Z. If you can uplift and relieve these people of their various financial burdens, then I think there might be a change in the trajectory. And to the young people, in as much as we've had the history of incompetence in our leadership, after all, we must be led. If we all sit back and relax and now say that now we are giving up, there's nothing much that will happen. So let us just give it a shot. If we give up, nothing will happen. But if we take responsibility, even God will reward the effort and say that you people came up and tried. Nature has also a way of eliminating different people. It places everybody where it belongs, according to how they were. Even the Bible said that those who do not work should not eat. And therefore, to the young people, it is not a time to give up. Let us just have a simple trigger, from past history or anything that will just make us to want to change the government. So I think to us, let us just take responsibility. If you give up now, nothing much will happen. Let us give it another try. There is no mistake in trying again. We can still have hope. We can still have hope. We can still create our own hope. Let us just step up and be responsible and give it a shot. Give it a try.
How can I interact with you?
Well, I have different contacts through WhatsApp, Facebook. They can interact with me. My number is there. They can interact in different places. And also in multiple, maybe media platforms. I come from a University of Technology, whereby, though we are still lagging behind, but again, we'll also try to come up with creating different environments that we can interact more. Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Victor, for making time this morning. Tunashukuru sana kwa kuweza kusikia maoni yako, and we're really privileged to have you. And of course, to the betterment of the youths out there, let them, understand the electoral process and, come out in large numbers to register as voters. My time is up. At the heart of the issue is a contradiction. Kenyan youth are politically loud, visible, and influential in shaping narratives, yet they are underrepresented in most critical democratic act, voting. The question is no longer whether young people care about politics, it is whether they believe the system is worth participating in. The opinions will never get to an end, but we need a clear understanding coming 7 months to go to the general elections 2027. But meanwhile, from the ages of 18, if you have your ID, and to register as a voter, of course, to make sure that at least you participated in ensuring that we have good governance. Above all, let his will be done in ensuring that Kenya itasonga mbele inavyofaa. Niko Kadi, 230,000 new voters, adults lead, youth lag has been made known and done. Thank you so much, now Director Paul, as well as thank you so much, Edgar, and asante sana Simon for making this happen, and my cameraman Indechi Emmanuel for making this true and nice. Asante sana Victor for making time as well. See you tomorrow, even as we engage with Simbelaji Charles Kiage to make sure that we have this made to you known and done. Goodbye for now. Have a lovely morning.
We value your feedback. and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us through 0700 893 542